Hello and welcome to Archvelder's Hacks with Archvelder and his amazing hacks. So in this video I'm going to show you a literally game-breaking hack to access virtually every out of bounds and forbidden area in old Azeroth, gliding through impassable objects like Blizzard glides through ethical barriers. You will be able to access secret areas and even fly directly through solid objects to reach locations even expert explorers would have trouble reaching, areas that almost nobody has ever visited. Now, this video is about classic Azeroth, but we are actually going to use the Wrath client, where classic Azeroth still exists in its entirety. The reason being this glitch was created by the stuck together with bits of sellotape method Blizzard implemented in Wrath for queuing for battlegrounds, which works differently from classic proper. So there are two stages to this incredible trick. The first one is quite simple. Queue for a battleground and take a flight path, one where you fly over a normally inaccessible area. In this example I'm using the flight path between Stormwind and the Burning Steppes, as it takes you into a forbidden zone in the mountains above Northshire Abbey's waterfall. It is impossible to reach this area on foot normally. As the Griffin flies over, enter a battleground. Once in the battleground, log out for at least 2 minutes. This will cause you to be automatically kicked from the battleground. When you log back in, you will find that you fall to the ground in the same location your Griffin was flying. Observe how my gnome falls with the grace and panache of a brick. If you are dismounting somewhere high up, you may need some form of slow fall, but as in this case, it's often not necessary. Essentially, the game doesn't remember that you were on a Griffin, but it does remember your exact location. You can now explore this area on foot. This is the simplest way to use this hack, but as we'll see, there is an even more advanced technique that will allow us to fly under the ground and teleport directly to certain locations. If this type of technique fascinates you, then you may wish to consider signing up for my Patreon, where I can discuss a lot of things too sensitive to be shared openly. The link is in the description below. Let's look at some examples of the forbidden locations you can access using this technique. If you take the flight from Ironforge to Thelsamar, you may have noticed this cave. This is a legendary location for explorers, known as Ortel's Hideout, which has some unusual special game mechanics. Very few people have actually visited the cave, as it is extremely difficult to access using normal methods. It requires you to first access the mountains above Ironforge, which are themselves normally inaccessible, and then use some combination of speed boosts and slowfall to reach this exact point. With this hack, you can do it easily. Simply accept a battleground port while flying over the mountains next to the cave, log out for a couple of minutes, and when you return, you'll be on top of the mountains with the cave to your immediate left. The reason this cave is held with such reverence is that it is no normal cave. Despite being located on the border between Dunmurra and Loch Modan, it is actually part of Silithus, which is on a different continent. The chat channel actually changes to Silithus when you get up here. Now, I really wanted to get up here, as I thought this might be a way to teleport across continents. If you watch my video entitled WoW Hardcore Exploit, you'll know that there's a method known as the logout skip, which allows you to teleport to the nearest graveyard. Basically, you jump in the air while inside a cave and get teleported to the nearest graveyard. I was hoping that since the game clearly thinks you are in Silithus, it might actually teleport you there. After a few failed attempts, I worked out a method to implement the logout skip. You jump forward while on this rock and log out. When I logged back in, however, I found myself in Loch Modan graveyard, only a relatively short distance away. Oh well. It's worth adding that one of the easiest ways to access the normally inaccessible Ironforge airport is to use the same trick on the flight path from Ironforge to Menethil, as it passes directly over the airport. There are other ways to get here, as I've shown in recent videos, but this way is very quick and easy. In addition to just jumping off a griffin, there's an amazing advanced method you can use here to actually fly through walls. What you do here is this. As before, enter a battleground while on a flight path, and then log out for 2 minutes. Then log back in and return to the open world. Now, enter an instance portal and immediately leave the dungeon. You'll find that you can fly through solid objects to return to the point of your original flight path. It can get very trippy doing this. In addition to allowing you to see a side of Warcraft you were clearly never meant to see, it is possible to dismount and access this forbidden realm. You simply enter another battleground while no-clipping through scenery and log out for a couple of minutes as before. When you return, you'll be dismounted and able to access the underworld of Azeroth. Please share any interesting discoveries you make using this method in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Bear in mind that when you're under Azeroth, you can use the logout skip method I mentioned earlier as if you were in a cave to teleport to strange locations for some ultra-fast travel or just really interesting gameplay. This is the thing I love most about exploitation. It transforms stale content into this exciting new world of potential, giving you a really good reason to explore areas you have out-leveled. In a recent survey I did, I noticed a small but significant number of my viewers are concerned about receiving bans for using my methods. This one you will definitely not get banned for. Blizzard don't care about exploration, and even if they did, it is impossible to separate those players who are doing this deliberately from those who just stumbled across it by accident. They might, however, nerf the exploit, so I'd do it now if you're planning to. I'm not sure it will ever be this easy to do high-level exploration in old Azeroth. As usual for people who really enjoy this type of content, I put some Easter eggs in this video in the form of secret microtext, so you may wish to view it again. Watching the video twice really helps with the YouTube algorithm if you are the type of very kind person who would like to help me with that.